What if your soul chose your wounded mother long before you were born, not as a punishment, not as some cruel twist of fate, but as part of a sacred agreement meant to guide your soul's evolution? Many people feel trapped in emotional patterns. They cannot explain the same arguments, the same wounds, the same aching emptiness. But what if these patterns are not accidents? In this video, we'll explore the spiritual purpose behind being born to a wounded mother, through the lens of Carl Jung's psychology and the timeless wisdom of karmic lessons. And by the end, you'll see how the very pain you've carried for years might actually be the key to unlocking your deepest spiritual growth. Stay with me, because once you see this, you won't be able to unsee it. Carl Jung, one of the greatest thinkers in psychology, often spoke about the mother complex, the deep psychological imprints left by our relationship with our mothers. But what if we expand this idea beyond the psychological, into the spiritual? Imagine your mother, not only as the woman who raised you, but as a soul playing a role in a story much older than your current lifetime. If you've ever felt an invisible pull back into the same emotional cycles, anger, abandonment, neglect, even after years of trying to move on, this video is for you, because there is a reason why you can't just shake it off. These wounds hold messages. They're like encrypted codes written in the language of the soul. And once you begin to decode them, you discover something extraordinary. Your mother's wounds were never meant to imprison you. They were meant to awaken you. Across spiritual traditions, there's a recurring belief. Before we are born, our souls choose the conditions of our lives, our bodies, our families, our environments in order to learn the lessons we need for our evolution. And sometimes, that means choosing a mother who carries her own deep, unhealed pain. This choice might sound harsh, but think about it. How better to learn compassion, resilience, and self-worth than to be born into a situation that challenges you to find them? In karmic terms, these relationships are not accidents. They are contracts, and your mother, no matter how wounded, agreed to be part of this contract with you. She may never be aware of it on a conscious level, but on the soul level, both of you understood that this connection would shape you. The hurt becomes the training ground, and the very things you once thought were breaking you may actually be forging the strongest parts of your spirit. In Jungian psychology, the mother wound is not just about one specific incident. It's an archetypal pattern that shapes how we see ourselves, how we love, and how we navigate the world. It can manifest as low self-esteem, fear of abandonment, or an inability to trust. Jung believed that facing these inner wounds was essential for individuation, the process of becoming our true whole selves. When viewed through a spiritual lens, the mother wound becomes more than just a psychological hurdle. It's a symbolic initiation. Just as heroes in myths must face trials before they can claim their destiny, so too must we face the psychic imprints left by our earliest relationship. In this light, your wounded mother becomes both the shadow and the teacher, the one who unconsciously delivers the very challenges that will force you to grow beyond them. You might see it in your relationships, always attracting partners who are emotionally unavailable, or constantly trying to fix others in ways you once tried to fix your mother. You might notice it in your work life, never feeling good enough, no matter how much you achieve, echoing the silent criticism you once felt at home. Or perhaps it shows up in quieter ways, a deep longing for connection paired with an equally deep fear of being hurt. These patterns are not random. They are the echoes of your early conditioning, shaped by your mother's wounds, her fears, and her limitations. But here's the thing, recognizing these patterns is the first step to transforming them. When you understand that they have both psychological and energetic roots, you can begin to work with them consciously, instead of being controlled by them in the shadows. From a spiritual perspective, these wounds are not punishments, they are activations. They stir the very parts of your soul that have been dormant, forcing you to confront what you might otherwise ignore. A wounded mother often reflects your own inner child's unmet needs, but she also mirrors your hidden strengths. When you begin to see her not just as the person who hurt me, but as a catalyst for awakening, the relationship shifts. Even if she never changes, you can rise from the patterns, transmute the pain, and reclaim your personal power. This is not about excusing harmful behavior. It's about understanding that your spiritual journey is bigger than any single relationship. It's about realizing that you came here to learn love in its purest form, the kind that transcends wounds, karmic debts, and the limits of the past. Breaking these cycles starts with awareness. Ask yourself, What patterns keep repeating in my life? Where have I seen them before? Once you can name them, you can begin to dismantle them. Jung would say, this is bringing the unconscious into consciousness. Spiritually, it's alchemy transforming lead into gold. Practical steps might include inner child work, journaling to your younger self, or creating rituals of release under a full moon to energetically cut ties to old patterns. It may also mean setting boundaries with your mother or others who trigger these wounds. Remember, breaking the karmic cycle is not about erasing the past. It's about changing your relationship to it. When you heal, you stop passing the wound forward, not just to future generations, but into every interaction you have. This is where your choice to be born to a wounded mother transforms into your legacy of healing. Your story did not begin with your pain, and it will not end there. The spiritual purpose of being born to a wounded mother is not to suffer endlessly, but to awaken to the truth that you are more than your past. You are a soul that chose this path for reasons your human mind may never fully grasp, but your heart can feel. If you take one thing from this video, let it be this: your wounds are not proof of your weakness, they are proof of your capacity to grow, to transform, and to love more deeply than you ever thought possible. So, honor the role your mother played, even if you must love her from a distance. Carry forward the lessons, not the pain. And know that by healing yourself, you are quietly healing the lineage you came from, and maybe even changing the karmic story for lifetimes to come. Think of your life as a tapestry woven by unseen hands. The golden threads are your moments of joy, love, and connection, but woven right alongside them are darker strands, knotted and rough to the touch. These dark threads are your mother's wounds, her struggles, her silences. At first they seem to ruin the design, but when you step back, you see that without them, the tapestry would be flat, lifeless. The contrast gives depth, the pain gives meaning. In the same way, your wounded mother's influence may have felt like it was pulling your life apart, but in truth, it was adding the very dimension that makes your soul's story worth telling. This is why spiritual traditions speak of blessings in disguise, because the most important gifts often come wrapped in the cloth of suffering. Let me share an example. Woman I once knew grew up with a mother who was emotionally distant, often cold, and sometimes openly critical. For years, she carried an ache in her chest, a sense that she was invisible. Relationships failed, jobs felt meaningless, and the same pattern kept repeating. She would do everything to please others, only to be met with indifference. Then, through therapy and spiritual study, she realized she had been unconsciously replaying her relationship with her mother in every aspect of her life. She began practicing inner child work, visualizing herself as a little girl and giving that child the love her mother could not. Slowly, her relationships shifted. She stopped overgiving, she set boundaries, and she came to see her mother not just as the source of her pain, but as the very reason she had developed the resilience to heal herself. That is the alchemy we're talking about. For those who believe in past lives, this connection with your wounded mother may stretch far beyond the current lifetime. Some spiritual teachings suggest that souls meet over and over in different roles, sometimes as friends, sometimes as lovers, sometimes as parent and child, each time offering opportunities to balance past debts or complete unfinished lessons. Seen this way, your mother's wounds are not random. They may be part of an ancient agreement to help both of you grow. This perspective doesn't erase the hurt, but it can soften the bitterness. Instead of seeing yourself as a victim of her pain, you can begin to see yourself as a willing participant in a much larger spiritual play, where even the hardest roles are given to the strongest souls. Before we close, I want to share a simple ritual you can do. Find a quiet space and light a candle. Place two objects in front of you, one to represent yourself, and one to represent your mother. Speak aloud the truths of your experience, the pain, the confusion, the love that may still remain. Then speak these words: I release what is not mine to carry. I honor the role you played in my soul's growth. I choose to keep the lessons and let go of the pain. Blow out the candle, imagining the smoke carrying away generations of unspoken wounds. This act may seem small, but in the language of the soul, it is a declaration. You are no longer bound by what came before as you step away from this conversation. Remember, your soul is not defined by the wounds of your mother. It is refined by them. The choice to be born into her arms, however flawed, was a choice to enter a sacred fire of transformation. And though that fire may have burned, it has also forged something unbreakable within you. Jung once said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." Perhaps this is the final gift of being born to a wounded mother, the courage to accept yourself, scars and all, and to recognize that your soul's path has never been an accident. You are here for a reason, and every shadow you've walked through has only made your light more powerful.